So yeah, this is Calicat, the Calicatster on the, well, it's not on the set of anything. Yeah, I was printing up the mom email magnum opus thing here, just for my own edification, just to have a hard copy of it, just in case a computer eats it. Here's a hard copy. Ran out of ink. Anyway, or this morning. Anyway, so what this is though isn't that. I'm gonna have to watch the Carta thing later. The pilot, the Carta pilot. It's fun. It's fun, but also I don't think it's going to be another trilogy. I don't think we're going to take it in that direction. The Transformer thing, after all. It's not that it isn't fine. It's that it's a one-shot story. It doesn't need. If you want to do more of them, fine. The figures exist. You can do more of them. But yeah, the whole thing of that is fine for years. Yeah, I put it on the shelf. Yeah, it's been a year since the Starship Legacy stories started, and there's been 8 of them. I believe 2 of which were sort of a fun thing just to do. The convention one over a year ago, a little less than a year ago, and then there was a little one, and then there was a sort of a Q one that was kind of similar, kind of a sequel, a couple months ago. And it has now been VBS camp, but it hasn't been sports camp yet. And so far, there isn't much to report on involving that because there was no cast to meet at the cast meeting. The classic character from last season, the Happy Woods character, left the show, and so did the unrelated. So did the character of Leo Starro. So they both left the show. Leo Starro could return, but possibly not. They're not talking about it, so apparently that character got busted. Possibly. So that character in the story. We introduced a bunch of new characters with Starship. We introduced the Canary Space, and we introduced Advanced Guard characters into the fold, into Starship Locations. A lot of the consternation of the confusion by family members, other associates, has been that what is the story trying to be? It seems like the stories were very Star Trek-like in the early days of the stories, but claiming they weren't, and they were. So, yeah, they're Star Trek. It's Star Trek. So when Advanced Guard and Canary Space came out, put them in Starship Locations and said, oh, they are Star Trek. They're trying to deny they were Star Trek for years and years, and they're Star Trek-like. So they're Star Trek fan films. The fan films. They're the spoofy fan films. They're not meant to be. Well, they were original in a sense, but they're not meant to be original. It was like more so our original stuff than, say, All Transformers Mush and the Lexicons, which were Transformer stories, and they were mainly other people's fan stories, shipping stories that we adapted. To make into stories. Yeah. There's an archive now of some of those. You can go see those. The episodes that Mom liked back in the day, or the episodes about mystery or murder happens, or murder mystery, or there was a medical procedure, robot medical procedure going on, like that one. That episode with Primary getting injured. Galvatron killed her, and they had to rebuild her, so, or almost killed her. But yeah, so and that story, the character get rebuilt. The robot killed another robot, almost killed another robot, and had to get rebuilt by Shadow Dancer. Now, Shadow Dancer also appears for some reason in Carta, the Carta movie, as does what appears to be Locarno, Ezra Locarno from 2388, playing somebody named Jules. And then we have what appears to be Critical Vitriol playing a guy named Slam, and the third guy, yeah, the Mix, the Tal from Prodigy. It appears to be those characters. What's probably going on is they're time traveler people that kind of look like them, like space clones or something. I also recently saw Ilio, the Pixar movie, where they did address the start of the Voyager probe getting encountered by aliens, which was the original premise of Distant Destinies. And I thought that was rather interesting that they did that. I knew they were going to do something like that, which is why when we did Canary Space, which is an adaptation of Distant Destinies, we changed it from Voyager probe to a Star Trek ship, the Chimera, they find in the story, or it cloned it, rebuilt it. You don't need to know. It turned out it was the Q messing with them anyway. So, although there were some brief appearances by Academy-age young people at the retreat, at the thing, the VBS, some of the generations following the original crew, and yeah, they're kids. Some of them there, emoji included. And yeah, right, yeah, obvious idea, a little too obvious. Do a Starfleet Academy story for your next Legacy episode. Do a one-shot Starfleet Academy story with her as the main character, because, yeah, why not? Because you've done Kestra and Tam, and you kind of can't do them anymore. They haven't really, yeah, done that. And you don't need to necessarily have it like set in 2413 either. It doesn't need to be. To them, it's 2025 anyway. So, yeah, it doesn't need to be in the distant future. It doesn't need to be in the past. You can probably do that. The actual actor, Scott Boyd's daughter, wouldn't be in the story, obviously. But she's studying medical school. Actually, she would be a doctor character in Star Trek. But you don't need to have a character actually be what they really are going to be in real life in the parody Star Trek parody story. Don't do that necessarily. You don't need to do that. That would be goofy. It'd be like if Talia Brown, the cousin character, she shows up as somebody. Well, if she showed up, then she would be the other one that was there. She would be studying kinesiology. She'd be, of course, the gym instructor or something. But it's like, no, she doesn't have to be. Or there's Leslie. She doesn't need to be, yeah, whatever she is either. Yeah, so there's yeah, you can do whatever you want. Some of the newer ones don't need to directly be referenced. You don't need to, in the story, and this is for my own benefit, I guess, as an update, you don't necessarily need to do, like, literally word for word what the other people are. You don't even really, you could even have the youngest characters from Vanguards and Canary Space there, the Academy too. Have them walk in and have Jan, the Carrie character. You could have Jan Dark. You could have the other guy there too. Have him there. You could have Azeloth. So you could find Fruity Guy, bring him back from his movie shoot. Well, by the time the story's written, he'll be done with his movie shoot, so he'll be in this. Also, we could have Fruity Guy, Fred Size. That's a made-up character. You'd have Jodie is off doing a movie. The Follett girl's off doing a movie. Another movie. I'm assuming that one is nearly finished, but maybe not. Which is why she's not in that one. She wasn't. She technically was in the Valentine one as a brief cameo. Really, she had no line, 2 lines. Yeah, that's why she's not in it very much. Yeah, the character. So the character of Kestra Riker. Yeah, they would be in the Academy. You could do that. There's any number of ways Silly in Space could arrange for that to happen. That it's really technically now 2025. So Next Generation started in 1987. Right? So it was 2364. So if you just pull back the clock a little bit, it's 2402. Yeah, it's 2402. It's nearly 4. So yeah, yeah, we have a thing, story, concept in mind. That's it though. It's like a teaser. From there. It might be interesting now that we've introduced Carta as well, to have one of the cadets be a Carta from the movie, the Carta. Be kind of fun. One of the Cartas. He's a cadet. Or somebody of that race, perhaps. Well, we have 30 of them. It could be one of them. Probably Gamelt. Probably him, because he knows about them. It could be directly connected to Carta or not. It isn't imperative to have it be connected to the other ones. Since they did say in the Carta story, these are Synthoid copies of Cillians. They're not actually Cillians. The aliens made synths out of them, basically. So the originals might be somewhere else. They might be aware of them, but they copy their minds. Or it might be fun, little robots kind of thing. One of them just happens to be a Carta, and they completely accept it. Like, oh yeah, okay, it's a little robot. That's neat. Yeah. It doesn't need to be dependent on where things go from there. The 2413 Starship Legacy was severely damaged in the Q space battle and not repaired. The bridge was completely destroyed. So the future one doesn't even happen at this point because it's completely different. Partly because the bridge was really hard to film on. We're going to need to rebuild a bridge. That won't take long. And it'll be cheap. Aha! But yes. And sometime in August is Disneyland. So it's still happening. It's all still happening. Yeah. So, just don't know when exactly it's happening. But yeah. There's nothing new going on. The Carta story was a fun script, well written. The story was well written and everything. I found that, the relatives did not quite get what I was doing and compared it to other things they had seen. They didn't get what they were doing. But their stuff isn't any more interesting or any less. So, I find that they tend to, a lot of people tend to use, when they're coming up with a fan fiction story, it goes for relatives as well, what they know, the fan film, they want a familiar kind of feel to it. They want references to other things, and that somehow makes the story better. The Carta thing is all references, but references to other Carta movies that weren't officially released. So they're all new to whoever watches it. Yeah, it's completely new. The references are new. They're not. They're different. The references to those battles, you didn't get to see all those battles. You just got a commentary track about them over the footage because you had to trip out the audio because there was like Frank Zappa playing in the background or something, or Batman or Jurassic Park in the background. And you couldn't use that, so I tripped out the audio and played a commentary of those original Carta movies online, the crappy shot-on-video ones. That were the basis for this movie. This movie reboot was a reboot of that. Yeah, so Carta is in the Starship Locations Transmech universe. It's kind of a crossover with it's another Cybertronians one. It's a crossover. It's Star Trek and like I said, mainly Transformers. So it says it's a Transformers legacy story, but it's a little bit of Starship Locations in there, a little bit. Some of the characters in it are so it is similar. It's a little bit. So any newer stuff could be similar to that. Time travel in the story isn't really necessary. It's 2025. It's 2403. Go. Film your story there. It could be an entirely different ship and crew. That might be easier, as was suggesting some of the younger people. Like, well, if you're going to make a space story, why not just have it be a different crew? They just kind of act a little like them. Like you do with the Carter movie. Have it be a little, they act a little like them, but they're not the same people. Why should it literally be these other people stepping in there? Starfleet probably has a lot of people in it. If it's a slightly different crew, then you can do whatever you want. But if you want an ensemble and you want to combine them somehow and have them go on a mission, it's similar to that Q story. And they hang out. But yeah, some of the goofy stuff that happened is final, though. Raxler in that other timeline conjured into life again by Q. He's not coming back from that timeline. He's gone. But Esto, Captain Estrogen, the other character he played, he could be there, but he'd be older. But that'd be weird. There's any number of ways you can get around that. You could do a Lower Decks Prodigy crossover adventure movie. But you probably wouldn't because those series are over and there's no real reason to come and visit them again, except, Beckett Mariner is the commander of the Legacy. She probably appears. But Beckett Mariner is also a reflection of this Vitalia Brown as well. So it's like, she's actually, this other person entirely, who is actually cadet age and would be at the academy. She's younger. So this is kind of who that is. Also Wilson Uhura. She's also Wilson Uhura. But yeah, sort of, kind of, maybe, kind of, not really. And then you have the Alexander Rashenko character being similar to the slightly older ones in the cast. Maybe not. You have a lot of that maybe not stuff. You have, I was looking at the character generator thing going, like, a lot of these people, like in the Carter movie, but in the Carter movie I'm spoofing it, are reflections of the same type of people over and over again. Well, they have the different Carta personalities that are literally booted into other Cartas and just have their names changed. It's kind of like that. And they're like, oh, this is actually just, Jules is Pity Bowl and also the other Jules. Or Gamelt is also the robot. Or Shadow Dancer is also a robot and a guy. Or, but oddly enough, not the Busmercons. Only the one guy, Transitron, becomes another guy. And, Slam is Slam Trip, but he's also that other guy. Flame Pod? Or the other guy? Blazod. He's Blazod, Blazod. And then Blazod. And then his thing changes. Mix is Trick Mix, but Mix is not Trick Mix. Trick Mix is Tricked Mix. That kind of thing. And yes, in the Carter movie they joke that it's a cereal. It isn't a cereal anymore. It was in the 90s. Anyway, so yes. But yes, you have characters in the character generator that are just versions of the other characters. Direct case in point, the character of Mary MC Kim. She's basically a character playing a character playing a character. She's been a number of other characters playing, different roles. In the story. And is she a character herself? In the semesters, years, and she was different people. Fictional Adventures, she was like a Jane Foster, Jane Piedmont semesters. She was Wendy McKinley in some of those as well, which is weird because it's supposed to be your friend. Wendy McKinley. And Wendy McKinley went on to play Jessie Gender. Well, not really the real one, but the character. not the real one, obviously. The real one had nothing to do with it, really, and doesn't really know except that to comment, oh, if you're going to do an episode with my character, I have to make out, because it's funny, with another girl. Okay, that was all she said. Oops. So, like my fictional shipping character, of course, not the real one. Fictional shipping character. The Rumbly character and the Rumbly sister character is a personification of someone that is not terribly thrilled about being included, but finds parts of that funny, and is confused as to when the cast is going to get together and so forth of the past several months, but only because like for some reason I thought compelled to bring things like that up when I knew full well I didn't know really what I was talking about. There's no cast getting together to do Starship Locations. It's Gal Cat and then sometimes Mark's Cards. That's it. It needs several voices in there. These other characters that are off doing a movie or something, they're not really. Utterly to confuse the other ones. Well, ex-TMS people will show up again, yeah. Well, it's like, how many kitty keys were there? A dozen of them? How many phony fillets? Some of the fillets are phony, some of them aren't. Those characters are based loosely on these other guys from X-era. Shadow Dancer was real, and so was Ryan Belt, so was Chica Bonita. They were all real. But yes, based on actual bloggers. And now that those blogs have been returned, they're relevant again. And there really has only been like minor complaints about some stuff. Years ago, during the making of the Planet of the Fallen One stories, there was Jason Colavito himself contacted the show. It was like on the thing. You can't do that anymore. You can't PM anymore. But he did. He managed to. Because back then you could. And he said, you don't need to put me in your byline on your fan film. You don't need to do that because I don't know you. Don't do that. It's okay. You can include it's spoofy enough that I don't care. But don't put my name on it. I'm not involved. That's all he said. Okay. That's his parody. It's fine. Like Chang Melt though, he was like, oh yeah, I made fun of my pitch idea that obviously didn't happen. I'm never going to admit to it. But if you want to spoof my character, okay, go ahead. Because you reviewed my script. With a few people that did. Yes, I did review his script, and we didn't use any elements of it. Maybe we could. No, we're not going to. We're still not going to, not directly. Although Lower Decks kind of did with that finale with the quadrant log thing. There's a number on here. Yeah. You could just do that idea. You could say, okay, parallel universe timeline thing, different things are happening here. And here is Emoji, and she happens to be with another group of people that isn't the same. Oh, another legacy. So, you totally do that. And then it would be like, wow, but definitely have a byline in there somewhere. She'd have to, pretty much. But yeah. Another group from the cast is leaving on Monday. But it'd be weird if like it was dedicated to that, unless that would be odd. They're not really Star Trek fans, so it would be strange if I decided, I'm going to include this other person from the church group in there that doesn't know, and they're going to be in there because it'll be like an homage. The only way that works, there's a scene where an admiral gives them their orders. It's the lady, Vanessa Derrick, shows up because it's the admiral. That'd be fine. Yeah, something a gag like that would be fine and pretty funny. Or maybe it doesn't even give them the marching orders. Maybe it's someone annoyed that shows up randomly in the background and goes like, "Oh yeah, I remember this time. This guy told me this story about this person I knew. Told me this started quoting this poetry that sounded really cool. Like he was really good at poetry, but he wasn't. He'd stolen it from a song by Counting Crows. And for some reason, Cal Cat knew that and was like, that's from Counting Crows. He's like, what? It's a band. 90s band. I knew the lyric. I'd heard it. Yeah. But actually, that story could be told in it. That'd be funny. We good on it. Homages are fun. And that's why Amanda Rumsey wants to keep it. His homages are fun. Don't make it too real. No, don't make it too real. Yeah. She was okay with, like, this is a different person. You can do, like, okay, making fun of the fact that you said there was going to be a cast party when there wasn't one, and I got frustrated. Make fun of that, and you did. But, yeah, I knew full well there wasn't one. I'm like, yeah, come on. Yeah, you were right. You know, she said. I didn't want to hang out with a bunch of children I don't know at like a kid birthday party or something. What? No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? You wouldn't do that either. Oh, I wouldn't. What? But yeah. As for a going away party, this other group, that's fine. You know them. Cool. Yeah, it's a church, so it's fine. Yeah, they invited you. Yeah, they all did. The whole cast did. There is a cast party. It's coming. But by the time you see this, it'll be like, wait a minute. Oh, she doesn't know them, so it doesn't matter. A bunch of new people were introduced that weren't Star Trek fans. But there were a few that were, a little bit, that had been around. That were like, the only one that commented was one of them, by the name of Lori. She said, Lori, she goes, just don't do Planet of the Apes. I don't like that show. I wasn't going to do Planet of the Apes. Carta, Little Robots. Yes, and Mrs. Dunn, Marina Dunn, does know about the Little Robots movie. It's on its way. But yes, it will not be airing at that party, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. But it is out if you want to see it. It's previewed out there. It's perfectly fine. They can watch it if they want to, but we can't actually on YouTube say, "Oh, it's kids can watch it," because then they'll say, "Ooh, Cop Act will freak out." It's like no, so it has to be Y14, even though it's PG. The Carter thing is PG. There's nothing at all bad in there. You can totally watch it. One of them cusses. One of them says shit. One of them says damn at one point. That's it. So, they find the dead guy, but it doesn't look like a dead guy. It's just a guy lying on the ground. So and no, it's not the Care Bears and the Smurfs and all that stuff. Not at all. It's its own thing. It really is its own thing. It's very original. Part of the consternation of early people trying to figure out my stories was that they didn't see the visualization. Till they did, then they understood it. They're like, oh, okay, when you made it into a video, now it makes sense to me because I can see it visually as opposed to just reading about it. I can see the visual, now I get it. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, cool. Or that's cool, or that's different. Oh, yeah, it's a creative story ideas. Other people cast during the thing where it was all disjointed. None of the meetings in the cast last week really amounted to any new ideas, but a bunch of little extra ideas thrown in. Some weird dreams and things ended up being mixed up. I had this weird dream about rescuing a kid from a pool that was drowning or something. it was like, what the heck is this about? And this person, it didn't make sense. It was all symbolic, and it never happened. I never did that. And it was like, and then there was a Elio movie. Elio's character rescues the alien kid from, so was in the movie. So I was like, oh, okay. I was just dreaming about the movie. Nah. I was gonna see it in a movie. It was somebody's gonna fall in the water and get rescued. It was a slug silkworm thing. It probably could have swam actually. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so the but yeah, that didn't that was just a dream. There was some other weird dreams about a space bridge and some Bussamans and stuff, probably inspired by Carta. And they couldn't get back to the space bridge. Never did. Was still stuck on the planet. You could do something like that. And all these disjointed ideas. And some of the other ones, I was talking to Mr. Chen and Don Chen and the Voyager guy, and then some other people, and Gary and some other people who were not interested in the whole thing, but some of them were interested in some of the newer stuff. And they're like, you come up with all these crazy, cool ideas and stuff. Even the pastor guys are like, you should be working for Hollywood. I don't know why they don't hire you. I keep saying that on my website. Yeah, you should. You have so many ideas. You should just be like, they should be all hire you, and yeah, exactly. It's like go to the writer's room and say, I've got some ideas from a show or to pitch a show. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. So yeah, the Carta thing is a pilot, but it's meant as a one-shot thing. I have not come up with a second one. I'd have to come up with a really good second one. They'd have to get their forms, or maybe they won't. They'd have to do something cool in the story takes place over like 2.5 days or something. Story, but yeah, in the car. Yeah, the Star Trek stuff kind of does too. But yeah, yet another Q thing would be kind of repetitive. We just did Cillian's Assemble. It was kind of the same idea. Ship in a bottle story would not be as repetitive. I like the idea of a Star Trek story where it's not always a space battle. Partly because we can't film a defective space battle with no AI and very little special effects technology. Also, the computers, the old computers hosed, and the program, the new writing program is new, and it still has some bugs to work out. Apparently, I've been tasked with beta testing my own software. That's fun. That OneDrive, it's eating files intermittently, that kind of thing. Beta testing my own stuff, because it's my own stuff. Nobody else can beta test it. Maybe not release it until it's beta tested. That's what they say, but yeah. I'm not a programmer though, I'm a user of computer stuff. I don't know how to do all that stuff. So yeah, the old computer ate itself. Like one of those snakes that eats its own tail. It was sacrificed to the space gods though. Or in the trash can. It was covered in nail polish fluid, which is acetone, basically, which melts plastic, and then after being decimated with a railroad spike, and then that was after it was broken, of course, and then dismantled and thrown away. So, but yes, the newer stuff that is saved. Also some versions of YouTube have decided to no longer use the secret ad blockers we were using because they figured it out. See, I was never going to release what the ad blockers we were using was on YouTube because the moment I did, and I didn't ever do it, somebody else did. And the minute I ever did it, YouTube would find out immediately in the algorithm and go, find that blocker and take that ad blocker off. Right now. And then they would all be mad at me. So I made sure not to reveal the ad blockers. But they figured it out. Someone else revealed it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. If you like the new setup, yeah. Anyway, so the yeah, I've been rambling on, but it's more of an update than anything. And yeah, it doesn't need to be extra. Just come up with things that are interesting. So, yeah, people going and coming, and kids going and coming, and because there's a Sunday school thing. They do the Sunday school thing. Can't air any of the Sunday school hits. Obviously, they can't be in it. Come on. No, that would that would be really against the Copyright Act. Be like, you can't do that. No. Yes. So if there's an Abby in it, so to speak, it's supposed to be Abby Kurtz or Abby Woodworth. Abby Woodworth is no longer dead. She's engaged. She's married. She's not in it anymore. Abby Woods cannot be in it. The character Woods cannot be in it anymore. But and the little sister can't be because she's too young. And then there's another younger Abby that's not related that would not be in it. Obviously, too young. But the young adult one, Hertzman, is still in it, and Emoji Emma Boyd's still in it. And Zach, yeah. Of course. Yeah, and some others. But yes. But not the kid downstairs because he doesn't want to be. Well, he's an adult. He's in his 30s, but he doesn't want to do it. I want to be in the fan film, but that's okay. That's okay. I can't, I don't act. I'm not going to do that. You have fun up there. I don't act. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I can just, like, parrot stuff. Yeah, you don't want to do that. But yeah. So, there's some other ones that could be in the cast as well. Some very creative ones. Yeah. Ooh, but the derivative. Yeah, it's sort of like they have yeah, you have a sort of an ensemble that's, yeah. Let's say come up with something with a cast of characters, 7 or 8, that are in your story. Maybe you're spoofing that old April Fool's joke from 2017, where you're like, or 2016, where you were like, it would be funny if if your cast was weird and like there was a My Little Pony in there, and a clown and some other stuff. Anyway, can't do a My Little Pony, but kind of funny. That wouldn't work now. It would have been funny back then, but it wouldn't work now. That would just be weird. One of the dwarfs in that Snow White movie, yuck. Which wasn't bad because of the toxic nature of it. It was, well, that didn't help. It was bad because the acting sucked and the story sucked. The dwarfs looked horrible. So yes, that's why it sucked. It wasn't because of the girl, because she was a girl. It was because the story sucked. Yes, we like stories with woke characters. We like that. Star Trek is woke. Actually, Jesus is woke. So there. Think about it. Ew. Because the original expression woke meant be tolerant of others. Literally what it meant in the old school back in the day, before they co-opted it as a pejorative. Back in the day, in the jazz and hip hop community, it meant be tolerant of others who aren't like you. It's literally what it meant. And it just triggers the right wingers. They're just really triggered by that. They don't want that to happen. To be all fascist and evil and stuff. And Marcus Cards doesn't think we're going to get out of that. I think we're going to get out of it. I think they'll eat each other's heads and symbolically. Yeah. Because it can't last like that. They'll destroy each other. As most cults will. Maybe they should. But I don't want to go all political and make the story like that, though. I kind of already spoofed that in the Cillian's Assemble story. When it was so easy for them to make the villain go away simply by having Cat and Cards imprison him. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't really happen. But you'd think that back in the day they could have prevented all of that from happening by simply imprisoning him. And then they couldn't do anything anymore. Yeah, there really was a deep state group. They should have just done something. They could have. Yes. We're not going to get into that. That's not part of the. I don't want to go make it real. Make it reality. It needs to be fantasy. A fantasy planet kind of thing. You know, Star Trek stories have never been to Alpha Centauri. It is too close, though. I can see why they didn't. Because it's right there. It's Alpha Centauri. It's right in their backyard. Why would they go there? Yeah. They need to go where no one's gone before. They haven't been there before. They just mentioned it. Although technically I count the pilot of Star Trek Enterprise as they went there because they went to Rigel 10. And Rigel 10 had to have been Rigel Kentaris 10 because it was only the Warp 5 Enterprise and it was only a few minutes away in the story. So it had to have been that Rigel and not Rigel the Red Star, but Rigel Kentaris. Had to have been a planet in orbit of one of those planets in the Rigel system. Taurus, Alpha Centauri. Rigel 10. So yeah, considering Starbase 1 has been all kinds of things. I mean, in the solar system or outside the edge of the solar system or something else. And yeah, even Memory Alpha doesn't know where Starbase 1 is. I figure Starbase 1 would have to be in another solar system, even though they've depicted it as being, because if the Romulans encountered it, it'd have to be in another solar system. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to be in Earth space. And Space Dock has been confused for it in the movies. Yeah, that's not Starbase 1 would be somewhere else. Oh. So, enough for the rambling, I guess. We'll see after that later thing, which is not technically a cast party, what actually happens. Star Trek fans, many of them too young to participate in the adventures of Starship Locations, and would not be included. So don't worry, they're not included. But yes. Yeah, I haven't encountered too many of those, though. So, I don't think Mrs. Russell is going to contribute to the show at all. Or the other ones. He's like, what? I'm not going to do that. Oh, she's all, my husband likes that kind of stuff. But ask him. Okay. No. but yeah, so I don't know specifically what happened to the Leo Starro character, the other guy, but apparently he's out of the show at this point. Whatever happened? Which is just as well because he was kind of creepy in the show. Kind of creepy. Yeah. I suppose you could do that alien ship raid idea that Mark's Cards and I had, but kind of already did something like that. Where they raid the building and they find out who the Emperor guy is. That's kind of the plot of the Carter movies. They've kind of already done it. They find out the bad guy is Gamelt and he's got a robot that he's programmed to make copies of himself and them. His plan is to make an army because he's a lowly clerk technician and he doesn't know how to do cybernetics, so he's going to steal the program from the robot queen. We do get to find out who the queen is, but she's not alive yet. But yes, the Rospacum queen. The copies on the Carter planet. Yeah. It doesn't make. If you've seen the movie, you'll get it. As the old Transformers mush stories were different, and lexicons were different. They were based on other people's fan film stories that I adapted. So, universally, they were liked by those fans. They liked their adaptations, including that big long 7-part one. No, the guy was like, oh, yeah, before they don't do the PMing anymore. Yeah, well, that's a challenge to what adapt mind. Adapt mind. It's pretty long, but you did it. Yeah. And the only thing he objected to was that he thought of the crew of the mothership, the Regis Maximus. You called it I called it something else. I called it Regis Maximus, but it was called he called it something else. A Lost Light, I think. Same of it. He called it that. Similar to the comic books, actually, the later comic books. Yeah, it actually. He didn't work for IDW. It's just that IDW borrowed liberally from Corrosion of War. That end. That's what happened. And so did some other people. Some other people have adapted that one too. I did as well. I did my own version, and he's like, "Well, it's different." I pictured my character of Laxias as a kind of a scatter shot. It was the Technobots basically, and they had the ship. But a Draconus Prime is just way cooler. That was cool. Like that. But like the idea that Dragon Prime and Rodimus, Unicronus are there. That's cooler actually. Yeah, I like that you did. Like that. And that weird. And then there's two villains on the other show. We had Antonio and Char and Holt, and they had the triumvirate of evil on the Canary Space Story, and they had a toxic relationship where they were the antithesis of the humble gay couples on the other shows. They were the antithesis of that. They were angry at each other, and they were snipping at each other and stuff, and ultimately have to take each other out because they're angry at each other. They're villains. They're not in love. They hate each other. Anyway, so yeah. Obviously, those stories are going to affect the alt-right family members, and they would freak out and go like, what are you doing? They're being woke. You saw what Star Trek always was. Yeah, they had a diverse cast from the beginning doing stuff. Going to alien planets where the human race was reflected through alien creatures they encountered. Really obvious what Star Trek was doing when you go back and think about it. Even the original, they had the whole idea of that other stuff. I didn't get to discuss the nature of that, but yeah, it's a weird sort of with that statement. Yeah, it's a weird hypocrisy. Whereas the uber Christian evangelicals are all like, oh, we don't want to be woke. We want to be all like all inclusive and stuff. But Jesus would have been all inclusive. He would have been no, accept anyone who comes in to the kingdom of heaven. Do that. Anyone is saved by the grace of God in the story. Yeah. So it's like, wait a minute. Yeah. Did not get the memo. It's in there. Yeah. So as long as there's a message, and the message is good, that's cool. Even the Cardiff story's message is a little weird and contrived, but it's good. The message is be yourselves and be nice to others, and don't necessarily have a final knockdown, drag out fight. Instead, you use your powers to make peace. Kind of the opposite of the Carta original movies is kind of the opposite. Man's gonna freak out. Oh, it's been redone by somebody that didn't know what they were doing, and it's not Mortal Kombat with cardboard robots anymore. It's its own thing. It's like no, this is a better version of it. This is what should have been the version of it. This is natural progression from the space deities, and they kill all the deity bad guys. It's a natural progression from it. So yeah, it would make sense there'd be a Carta on the bridge of the ship. Maybe you could make a 31st Carta, another one, order up another one, and make one that could be on the bridge of the ship. No, or include one of these guys, but probably make a new one. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. There we go. Anyway, just coming up with ideas here lately. And yeah, I think we're kind of done for the evening. And the evening is done, and I guess this is sort of a coming up with ideas workshop here. What are we gonna do next? Behind the scenes of something. Yeah. Huh. These lights cast a weird glow in the room here. Moved things around. It's the same room. Now it looks more like the set of Trans. But yeah. Didn't need a bridge. Didn't need planet sets. But might as well leave the card of planet sets up and just use them in the next one. Now maybe they do need to be struck just because they need to be repaired. Yeah. But we'll see, yeah. Bridge scenes can always be filmed last. Yeah, it looks very much like the card sets. That's funny. Yeah, I don't want to do another Q thing. Don't want to do time travel necessarily. But Silly in Space being what it is, it's 2025, it's 2325, and it's 2403. Which just naturally is, because 10 years before the events of the Legacy series. Final season, the last 4 episodes. So yeah, here's the some stories and thingies and earlier ones and scripts and stuff. Yeah, this is Calicats, the Calicatster. You're on the set of next season of Starship Locations or Transformers or something, and a stack of scripts from the Starcrackers and from Royal Space Vanguard. So we had to call it Advanced Guard now. Canary Space, it's still called Canary Space, and Space Time I added to that. Recently printed up that short story book series that was kind of relegated to the background because it was very similar to Lower Decks and had some characters that were similar to it in there. And yeah, they clearly over their Lower Decks have clearly read Space Time I borrowing some characters over, including Boimler. So I figured, you know, since Lower Decks and the other one are off the air, why not have a sort of story homage to that, Prodigy and that kind of thing, and the Space Academy kind of in there too. I'm not sure what it'll be yet. I know that some of the young adult cast will return but it will not be directly, because obviously not. They won't really be doing voices in it. It's inspiring Calcat to come up with stuff and characters. Yeah. So we have a and martial arts, of course. Yeah, it's getting kind of like that Spectre series, a long-winded thing with one guy at the end. So yeah, I was going through the Space Time stories, and like the Space Vanguards, this other one is more comedic and funny, and uses some elements from the rejected from other stories, as well as short stories. And of course, those will probably be rejected here too, and not used. It won't be 7 or 8 1-hour episodes as filmed verbatim. That would be silly. It's more like it'd be a trilogy again of those stories, and so a little bit of book 2 is in there as well, just like we did before, because the story of the character named Ron Sandoval in the story ends with the middle of book 2, but the other stuff around it is just cribbed from other sources, like an old Prospectors episode, and Star Trek Starcrackers Prospectors episode, an old regular one here and there, and the going back up to the older short stories, like the Zydius one, and the funny one that David wrote years ago, nephew David wrote many years ago. Still funny, even now. So I put it in there. So. But yeah, there were these short story role playing game stories for Silly and Space around the same time as Silly Trek, and we made these build your own adventure Apple II game things, and some of them were these stories that have been turned into short stories from the games that we made. One of them was called Battlefield California originally, and it is now Divided New Terra or something. We're not going to use that one because current political landscapes and stuff are like, okay, that would be too realistic. So that's a weird fantasy story. We're not using it now. So don't get your hopes up about Battlefield California. We're not going to use that one. We're not using that one. People would complain, and they would be like, "Oh, it's too topical." Even though it was written in original draft was written in the 1990s, and had nothing to do with anything current. Certainly not any kind of war on terror type of thing. Nothing current. So yeah, the another cast and crew would be introduced in the Space Time I spinoff. Also, you kind of have to go through and edit out a lot of the time travel itself because it's less like Back to the Future and more like Sliders, in that they go to different elements of their dimension. It's more like that, and Stargate a little bit, and it's less like that, which is probably why it was not officially done. So try to limit that. Yeah, and they can be in time travel in their own universe. But a story about the temporal core would be interesting. There's your story. There's your hook. It's a Starship Locations story now taking place. The temporal core going to this weird part of the universe where these different things are happening in different timelines to them, but not the greater universe, just to them. You could totally get away with that. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the current thing under the radar. On the stack of other stories, there's 48 some episodes of Canary Space that we did not film. You can use some of those for Transformer stories, or some of these, or some other ones, or Academy story, or whatever. You can use some of probably some of the Starcracker stuff, Space Vanguard stuff too. But there's 2 books of that. But there's 7 books of Canary Space, and we did one of them. And we did a little bit of book 2 on that one. And then the Crackers on the same thing, a little bit, book 2. It'll do the same thing with this other one. And I think we want to go with the Space Time I first and do that one. So a temporal thingy. Because it ties into the future stuff and other timelines. And it doesn't have to be dependent on, what's the bridge crew doing from the particular Legacy series. It's not dependent on that. It's just that they're another crew on another ship. They're somewhere else. And it's around the same time as according to the stories, it's around the 2380s. Or 2480s, I guess. No, is it 2480s? Yeah. If it's the 2380s, then it's 100 years earlier anyway. So it's during the Next Generation. So it could be during Lower Decks. That'd be kind of interesting. Probably not, though. It's probably not. It's probably going to be going forward instead of going backward. So I guess we tend to do that. We don't need to show the lost years, the lost era. That doesn't need to happen. If we did, it would be a one-shot movie thing where, like Section 31, they go and visit a time period where it's during. But yeah, not gonna commit to that. We'll see what happens with this editing, improving some stuff in here. Had some older stories that were reprinted to be in part of the Canary Space that were lying there. They ended up not being used. I want to go back to the original episodes and not use those because they cut too much out of those stories. I don't think there's going to be another Canary Space or another Vanguard Space story necessarily. If there was another Vanguard Space story, jokingly said, "Aslo Primate Caper, do that." But sort of a movie. but probably wouldn't do that just because. Yeah, they didn't. I like them. I personally like the two series we did. They go over, but they haven't. There hasn't been a whole lot of interest in that. Yeah, so we're going to try something else, and if it catches on, then we'll go back to it. There's no monetary need for that series. There's no AdSense because it's a Star Trek spoof parody, so it's not that. It's not that. Oh, there's not enough views. It's that we kind of did it, so it's not. Yeah, and we don't want to do all 7 books of Canary Space. That would just be ridiculous, even when I'm staring at it right in front of the camera there. Yeah, but like you did with all Transformers Mush, you take the stories and you say, okay, we're gonna. This particular episode of the series would be a great Transformers episode. Maybe it wouldn't be such a good Starcrackers one, but it'd be a great Transformers episode. So make this a Transformers episode. Make this other one into something else. Starship Locations all so do it. Space Time I is the most new and original, so do that next. Yeah, including that, and that's also Silverfish Squad as ever. What's kind of funny about that story is many years ago in the 1990s. There was a place that Mark's Cards briefly worked at, but his friend worked at, that was making unsolicited Gumby cartoons. They were like, it was probably a front for like copyright infringement and stuff. Found this out later. They weren't working for that part of it. They were kind of a seedy. An organization that was seedy, and they were making these weird cartoon things that they weren't supposed to, I guess. And I went in there for an interview, and I brought Silverfish Squad, the short story that Mark's Cards and I had worked on at the time. One of the short stories that was in this. And they didn't believe me that I wrote it. They literally said, "You didn't write this." What? No, I did write this. That was odd. They actually accused me of ripping someone else off somewhere else. And yes, needless to say, I didn't get hired. Strange. What? You couldn't possibly have written this. You didn't write this. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we're funny. Yeah. I was pointing out to another guy at Target. This guy at the Target store. That guy. And pointing out to him that although I'm not employed anywhere, because obviously I'm retired, but I'm not employed anywhere. I couldn't find employed work anywhere because of autistic and stuff. Which is weird because I'm prolific with stories and story writing. Stacks and stacks of things, and it's all the resume is there on YouTube. You can watch it. So, that the resume is literally the stories, and it's like, why won't the Star Trek and Hollywood people hire me? They totally could. I mean, why not? We've been over that before. It's like, why don't they? This guy knows Star Trek really well, knows Transformers really well, knows that really well. Hire him. They haven't. They enjoy cribbing from my stuff, but they don't want to actually pay for it. Yeah, I was reading that story. There's Boimler. There he is, one of the guys, the characters. So he's in there. But yeah, so yeah, the action figures, and that was before Lower Decks. That story was written in 2016. The Space Time I story with Boimler. It was written in 2016. There wasn't even a glint in anyone's eye of that show at that point. Well, that's okay. They got Tendi from Mike Gamelt. He didn't pitch though. What they did is they read the stories about him wanting to pitch and just took the characters off his website, including also Rutherford, the guy with the transhuman Borg guy. They should have just said he was a Borg. That would have made more sense. He's a Borg. Oh, that's what I would have done. The Borg. But yeah, that was Lower Decks. Yeah. Also, they did something different with Locarno and Casson, and deliberately aware of our stuff. Deliberately made it so Locarno couldn't have ever married Ezri Dax in that timeline because that you made up in your shipping. They couldn't have because he's dead. But yes. However, That timeline still works because that weird event with the planet and the Genesis planet spin-off in 2381 that happened in Lower Decks actually would be after that the kid was born. So they still could have. Yeah, been after. Have been after. Just after. Yeah. After Locarno, daughter. No. Tamara Locarno. Would have been just after she's born, so it works. So they left that in. Didn't change this timeline though, because they're all multiverse.